When Evil Lurks is written and directed by DAMIÁN RUGNA, the same mastermind behind the terrifying 2017 horror film Terrified. This horror film is brutal and unforgiving. It goes to places where audiences might find severely triggering. However, it's done in a way where it shocks, then awes, and then leaves you wanting more. The story begins with the gruesome discovery of a man's upper torso baking in the sun. Brothers Pedro and Jamie, upon hearing gunshots, comb the woods looking for answers until they come across a rundown shack. This is where we meet Maria Elena and her two sons as they lay in hiding. Maria Elena's eldest son, Uriel, is bedridden and looks absolutely fucking disgusting. You see, Uriel is described as a rotten, someone who is possessed by an unborn demon awaiting physical birth. Yeah, it's just crazy. This is where we learn that the body recovered by the two brothers was that of a cleaner, someone hired by Maria Elena to kill her son Uriel. This particular demon has to be disposed of in a very uncommon way. More on that in a bit. What is this rotten that seems to possess certain people who don't follow the rules? Like seriously, what the fuck is going on? That's just the deranged beauty of this film. It has this vagueness to it that just draws you in as the runtime ticks. One scene in particular has landowner Ruiz, who came into contact with a rotten Uriel just earlier in the film, guns down a possessed goat followed by a grisly murder-suicide with an axe when his wife attempts to stop this spread. You see, this demon takes control if you don't follow a certain set of rules. One being, you cannot use guns on those possessed if you want to avoid the rotten from spreading. The gore to me is the right amount of abundance, and most of it is practical. But yeah, that's not really where the film excels. The film is much more than just gore and special practical effects. When Evil Lurks' greatest strength is its willingness to push the envelope in ways we just weren't expecting. This picture can be cruel and downright depressing, but regardless on how the film makes you feel emotionally, the brutal nature of these events are masterful. I myself have certain rules in horror, as some content I'm just not comfortable with or don't enjoy at all. I try my best to avert such material, but damn, this movie breaks all those rules. But to the film's credit, it never feels gimmicky or shallow. It's a roller coaster ride, and the ambiguity of the film's narrative keeps your eyes to the screen despite what your eyeballs are being exposed to. The acting is solid, as it's a cast of unknowns because this is a Spanish film. The lead actor playing Pedro is Ezequiel Rodriguez. This motherfucker is a dead ringer for Joel from The Last of Us. The action starts fairly quickly as you're thrusted into this remote village that has a mysterious half-body and a bedridden possessed man who looks like he could explode into a bloody pulp at any moment. You don't really have time to think because the plot keeps moving along at a rapid pace. The runtime ain't too bad. At about an hour and a half or so, the film never overstays its welcome and it keeps you wanting more. That's pretty important. Although most may find the ending to be a bit dismal or unsatisfying, but me, yeah, I really did like the effort that was put into the final climax of this film. It is why to this date, The Mist still has one of my favorite endings ever in cinema. Let's talk about the threat. The threat within this movie is kind of unrelentless. It keeps you on your toes, it keeps you guessing. You really don't know where the movie will go next or how far it will go. The evil also just doesn't stop at humans. Virtually any being can be made into an enemy. A chilling and haunting atmosphere combined with pretty good cinematography always has you feeling that despair, that dread. In my opinion, this movie really does make you feel something. One shot in particular has been engraved in my mind ever since I laid eyes upon this film. The music and sound design is pretty solid as well, and it only adds to the creep factor. It doesn't really distract you by being too bombastic and in your face. The soundscape lets the film breathe just enough before it chokes the air out of you. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, let's be honest here. Our two heroes, they aren't the brightest, But to be fair, this movie wasn't really going for that Hollywood trope. Pedro is a loser and he makes bad decisions. You can say him and his brother started all of this by somehow removing Uriel's possessed body and then proceeding to lose it. Pedro trying to be a hero and constantly fucking everything up adds a bit of that empathy that this film was kinda lacking, to be honest with you. It opens up the storytelling by removing the plot armor and addressing the fact that yes, anything can truly happen to anyone or anything in this movie. Overall, the story is quite simple yet effective. Your enjoyment of this film might depend on how much of an open mind you have. As stated earlier, the film is foreign and requires subtitles. Just like Terrified, Argentina is becoming a hotbed for horror. I mean, Rugna is fucking awesome, let's be honest. If there is a dubbed version out there, please ignore it and watch it in its native tongue. You'll thank me later. Films are always better as intended and aren't hindered by awful voiceovers. In the end, when evil lurks, it hits hard. I mean, it can hit really hard. It all depends on your pain threshold. The movie isn't perfect and has flaws, like dialogue that can be a bit of a miss, but nothing too egregious that will remove you from the film. Like I mentioned before though, some of the actions and the character decisions can be a bit too much for some folks. When Evil Lurks isn't for everyone, but if you want a film that pulls no punches and kinda leaves you on the edge of your seat, yeah, give this film a shot. It's on Shudder. I'm Ricky Grimes. Stay scared.